Why do we spend so much of our lives agonizing over what hasn't happened yet? This relentless preoccupation with the future is a pervasive habit, stealing your present peace and offering nothing but imagined suffering. It's a mental trap many of us fall into, constantly replaying worst-case scenarios and feeling the burden of fears that may never materialize. But what if you could learn to genuinely stop this cycle? What if an ancient philosophy held the key to reclaiming your tranquility right now? The persistent dread of what might be is not a new phenomenon. It's a deeply human experience, one that thinkers throughout history have grappled with. Long before modern psychology, the Stoics observed this human tendency with remarkable clarity. They understood that while prudence dictates planning, excessive worry is a self-inflicted wound, a state of mind that truly undermines our well-being and ability to navigate life. One of the most eloquent voices on this topic was Seneca the Younger, a prominent Roman Stoic philosopher, statesman, and dramatist. Living in an era of intense political intrigue and uncertainty, Seneca profoundly understood the human psyche's susceptibility to fear. He succinctly captured this insight by stating, "The mind that is anxious about future events is miserable." This wasn't merely a casual observation. It was a profound truth forged in the crucible of his own challenging life experiences. Seneca's world was one where fortunes could turn on a dime, where exile or execution were real possibilities, even for those at the top. His own life saw periods of immense power and wealth, interspersed with political disfavor and forced retreat. He tutored Emperor Nero, an experience that surely provided countless lessons on the volatility of fate. From this vantage, he wasn't speaking theoretically. He was detailing a lived reality for many, including himself. When Seneca speaks of the miserable mind, he isn't simply referring to unhappiness. He describes a state of perpetual agitation, a soul drained of its joy and vitality, constantly focused on specters of potential misfortune. This kind of anxiety is not productive problem solving. Instead, it is a destructive form of self-torment, where we allow our imagination to conjure pains that are not yet real or may never be. It effectively poisons the present moment. He makes a crucial distinction. Foresight for planning is wise, but emotional immersion in future fear is destructive. It's the difference between checking the weather forecast and then worrying about a storm that is days away, disrupting your entire week. The mind, when caught in this loop, stops being a tool for navigation and becomes a tormentor, relentlessly manufacturing scenarios of distress rather than focusing on the actual tasks at hand. This anticipation of misfortune multiplies suffering unnecessarily. When you allow future worries to consume you, you are effectively suffering twice, once in your imagination and potentially again if the actual event materializes. Seneca teaches us that this habit saps the strength and mental clarity we need for the actual present, rendering us less capable of handling what is real, simply because we're exhausted by what's imagined. Your mental energy, a finite resource, is diverted from constructive engagement with your current reality towards battles with phantoms. The Stoics recognize that this internal struggle leaves you ill-equipped for genuine challenges, making you a slave to your own speculative fears. Understanding this distinction is the first vital step towards liberating yourself from the tyranny of an anxious mind and reclaiming your peace. Taking Seneca's observation a step further, the Stoics also taught us that much of our suffering isn't caused by events themselves, but by our interpretations of them. We often project our fears onto an uncertain future, creating a mental landscape far more terrifying than reality. This constant mental creation of potential problems becomes its own form of torment, an exhausting and unproductive use of our precious cognitive resources that drains us completely. No one articulated this more powerfully than Epictetus, a former slave who rose to become one of the most influential Stoic teachers. Having experienced true hardship and powerlessness, Epictetus's insights into control and perception are particularly potent. He famously taught, "Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems." This profound statement cuts directly to the heart of what generates our distress. Epictetus isn't denying the existence of challenges or suggesting we ignore them. He's highlighting that our judgment of circumstances and our predictions about them are often far more distressing than the circumstances themselves. The actual event might be a bump in the road, but our imagined anxiety can turn it into an insurmountable mountain, making us believe the worst long before anything concrete has even happened. Consider a modern-day example. You have a crucial presentation next week. You've prepared diligently, but your mind is consumed by what-if scenarios. What if you forget your lines? What if the technology fails? What if the audience judges you harshly? These are imagined anxieties, distinct from the real problem of delivering a good presentation. The anxiety itself becomes the problem, far outweighing the actual difficulty of the task. This pre-suffering drains your energy, makes you irritable, and hinders your focus on the actual preparation. You might spend days feeling the emotional weight of a disaster that only exists in your head, while the real task of fine-tuning your slides or practicing your delivery suffers. This mental toll is significant, creating a problem where none exists yet and diverting mental resources from solving the real problem. The imagined anxiety can be so potent that it paralyzes you, preventing effective action or present enjoyment. You might avoid starting the preparation or find yourself procrastinating, overwhelmed by the specter of failure. Epictetus invites you to see that the worry itself is a choice, a judgment about the future that you can choose to make or to reject, thereby reclaiming your inner peace and agency. By understanding this distinction, you gain immense power. You realize that much of what troubles you resides not in the external world, but within your own interpretations and forecasts. This realization allows you to shift your focus from things outside your control, like future outcomes, to the only thing truly within your power, your own mind and how you choose to react to whatever life presents. So, if our suffering often stems from our anxieties about the future, rather than the future itself, how do we break free? The Stoics offered powerful, actionable strategies to anchor ourselves in the present and mitigate this self-inflicted pain. They weren't advocating for ignorance or apathy, but for a mindful engagement with life that minimizes unnecessary distress. This is not about avoiding problems, but avoiding the pre-suffering of problems. Seneca, once again, provides a poignant and direct call to action that resonates deeply. He suffers more than necessary, who suffers before it is necessary. This maxim isn't just a philosophical statement. It's a practical guide for daily living. It challenges us to reflect on whether our current emotional state is justified by present reality, or if we are simply borrowing trouble from a future that is yet to arrive and may never arrive as we imagine. The first practical tool is the dichotomy of control. This core Stoic principle asks you to identify what is truly within your power, your thoughts, actions, judgments, reactions, versus what is external and beyond your control, other people's opinions, outcomes, future events, the weather. Focus your energy only on what you can control. Everything else is simply not your concern for emotional attachment. You accept it. Next, practice premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This doesn't mean dwelling on negatives. Instead, it's a mental exercise. Briefly consider realistic worst-case scenarios, but only to prepare, not to dwell. Imagine losing your job, or facing a difficult conversation. By mentally rehearsing how you would cope, you diminish fear, realizing you can handle whatever comes. It's a mental preparation, not an emotional immersion in dread. Another powerful practice is amor fati, which translates to love of fate. This is not passive resignation, but an active embrace of whatever happens, seeing it as an opportunity for virtue. When something unexpected or unwanted occurs, instead of fighting it mentally, ask, how can I make the best of this? What lesson or strength can I draw from this experience? It's about transforming obstacles into opportunities for growth. Finally, root yourself in the present moment. Much worry dissipates when you fully engage with what is happening right now. Practice mindfulness. Pay attention to your breath, your surroundings, the task at hand. When a future-oriented worry arises, gently acknowledge it, then redirect your attention back to your immediate environment or activity. This consistent practice trains your mind to stay grounded. The future will unfold as it will, a tapestry woven with threads both seen and unseen. But your peace in the present is entirely up to you. By applying these Stoic principles, distinguishing control, preparing without dwelling, embracing fate, and living mindfully, you gain the profound ability to quiet the anxious mind and reclaim your inner world. This journey of cultivating an unshakable mind begins with a single deliberate choice to focus on what truly matters, your present moment and your response to it. If this resonated with you, subscribe for weekly Stoic wisdom to continue building your resilience and inner tranquility.